Hello, ladies and gentlemen. After a little over a year hiatus, we are back with good news now. Welcome. I am Jay Williams. I am here with Dan Hoff, and joining us as well, our newest contributor, Bill Thompson. And here we have Marianne Pellegrino joining us on set, a current member of the Board of Education and seeking re-election, I understand.
That's correct, absolutely. I'm very pleased to have been renominated by the Democratic Party to run on their slate for the Board of Education. I hope it's a wonderful slate. I hope that we prevail this year, and I'm looking forward to the election.
Marianne, what, if I can ask you, what have you found in this last term to be your biggest challenge on the Board of Ed?
The biggest challenge on this Board of Ed, well, I'd say there's two, but I guess the biggest will be the fact that we have run into fiscal problems. And balancing that with running the school system and getting along as a board and getting along with the public and getting along with the superintendent has been a challenge. Has been my challenge. It has been a challenge for everyone on the board. Some have met it more successfully than others. Hopefully, when we start again in September, and even after November, when we'll be a new board, because at least 3 members are not continuing on. So even if every incumbent is reelected, 3 people will be new. We can succeed.
So, maybe some people out there don't know, that you've been on the board. Why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself, like your qualifications, schooling, anything, your experience?
Okay, my primary reason for being on the board is because education has been my life. I really want to bring East Haven to a place where every person who moves into this town is proud to send their children to school. I was a teacher. I was a regular ed teacher for about 11 years. I have a master's in special ed and a 6th year in special education for adolescents with behavioral and emotional problems. And I worked in that field for the last 19 years that I taught. I taught for over 10 years in East Haven in the Pathway School, where for many years East Haven sent its students who could not quite succeed in regular education. I got my 6th year about 15 years ago. I didn't do the math, but it's about that. And so I'm up to date on most of what's going on. And I was at Pathways and with Children's Community Programs who ran Pathways. I was in charge of getting an, development, continuing development for the teachers. So we tried to get everything up to date. I was pretty much cognizant of what was going on in the field of education up until I retired 2 years ago. And I think that I'm pretty much up to date. And as a member of the board, I kept up to date. And one thing that we did very well, I think, on the board was to have the teachers in town present all the newest information that they got to us and bring some of the kids in to show us what they've learned. So I think I'm pretty much up to date on education in general. Education is my priority. Education is why I want to be on the Board of Education. I have finished my 4th year there, or I'm about to finish my 4th year there, and would like to add 2 more years to it. Can you think of anything else that I might add to that?
No, I think, just from my perspective as a parent, I have a daughter who's in school. Where do you see East Haven education, we'll just say, 4 or 5 years down the road? What would be your ultimate goal for the East Haven educational system?
My dream is that East Haven education in 5 years will be very diverse. The population is very diverse. The education still hasn't quite gotten there. The kids will be able to work together to learn to the best of their ability. Every child will be taught in their own learning style. No kid learns like any other kid. Every child learns individually in their own style. And the good teachers are those that can find that style and work with it and work with the students. We have the East Haven Academy here, which is superb. And we are hoping that we can take that style of education, which is project-based and individual education-based, and extend it throughout the school system to give the kids the motivation to succeed. I believe that will bring their scores up. I believe that that will get the teachers to know a little bit more about how each child learns. I want East Haven in 5 years to be a school system that I would be very proud to send my grandchildren to.
Jay, Dan, you guys have a question?
A lot of residents may not understand that under state statute, the town and the school system operates as two different entities. The town gives the school board the money that they need to operate, and then the town is pretty much hands off, and the school board and so forth does its thing. Do you feel currently that the amount of financing from the town is enough per student?
Absolutely not. I know this is a controversial statement, and I know even members of my own party feel that, okay, the town has so much money. The town needs to keep their rainy day fund intact. The town needs to keep its taxes low, and therefore there's only so much that they can give to the Board of Education. I'm aware of that. I've been a taxpayer in East Haven for a while, and obviously, since I said I want the best school system, I am willing to pay more taxes to have a better school system. And I know some people are not, especially if you don't have any kids that go to the school system. But right now, as we've shown with our budgetary problems with the Board of Ed, we don't have enough money to run the school system as it should be run. Running a school system on the cheap does not make for better education, does not make for high scores. I've heard things like, well, you're paying your administrators too much. We have too many administrators. We have too many people in the central office, and they're all getting high salaries. They're getting salaries that are the low to the middle of the surrounding towns, and we still have less administrative staff than most of the surrounding towns. And people say, well, so what? We've run it that way for many years. Yes, we've run it that way for many years, but we haven't had the problems of dealing with special education, inner city education, and the growth of the science, the STEM, all of the STEM projects and STEM research and STEM education that kids today have to have. Years ago, they didn't have to have that. Years ago, you didn't have to know how to use a computer, and we don't want our kids just to know how to use a computer. We want our kids to know how to build a computer. Mm-hmm. You want your children to take that technology, go to high school, go to college, go to graduate school, and be able to devise things that will be the future. You want your children to be the future. And we want East Haven students to be the future. I'm not saying we all have to go to Harvard and Yale. We have to send every kid to Harvard and Yale. We don't. We have great colleges at the state level, even at the community college level that you can leap to the state. But the kids have to be prepared for that. And the preparation today is different. It's not the same. You can't say, these kids can't make change. They don't know how to multiply and divide. They're not taught that in school anymore. That's true, they're not. They're taught it basically, but they're not taught it through the 8th grade because we have computers to do that now. If they can't borrow to subtract, which they're not taught anymore anyway, they have calculators to do that. They have to learn how to compute the distance from here to the nearest star on their computers. That's what they have to learn. And just because the grown-ups didn't learn that when they went to school does not mean it's the wrong way to learn today. It's a different way to learn because it's a different world. These kids are going to think about the world that you grew up in. The world you grew up in, the men had landed on the moon, and they did it with basic computers. They can't do that anymore. They would all die. The world that they're growing up with, we have to clean up this earth. We have to populate space. We have to design the next level of electronics and computers and all of that. You know, I'm old, so I don't know all of the things that are going to happen. But
we prefer the term well-seasoned.
But I do appreciate, I've seen so much. I do appreciate how much is going to happen in the next 50 years. And these kids have to be prepared for that. And right now, East Haven is not doing a lot to prepare them because they're too concerned about how much it will cost.
So what specific areas do you think they're lacking in? What are they doing that's good?
They are doing many things that are good. Mm-hmm. There are some wonderful, wonderful teachers out there. And I'm just blown away by when I take tours of the schools of what they're doing. The thing is, they can only go so far, and they meet resistance. The math people know what they have to do, but they only have so many resources to do it with. The science people know what they have to do, but they only have so many resources with it. These past 2 years, and it might be more than that, we have not had AP Physics. We have not had AP Physics because we could not afford the cost of the teacher. We hired a teacher, and the teacher immediately went elsewhere because we didn't have enough money to pay this teacher. The students in honors physics have to get on the computer and take a course from Boston. I think it's Boston. And don't quote me, don't hold me to that one. But I believe it's Massachusetts. And why? Why can't we have the technology and the education and the wonderful things. We have students. We have students who have gone to an invention convention and have gone all the way up to the national level because they are so talented. We need the talented teachers to take that talent to the next level to prepare these kids for college.
What do you see as like the greatest, and you might have answered this already, like the greatest opportunity that East Haven schools have, like the thing that you would like to really see them, whether it's that technology piece, whether it's the introduction into where I know a lot of schools are getting grants where, we'll just say with Apple, where they're willing to sell at a discounted, or in a grant form where they're introducing iPads into the science classes, the math classes. Where do you see like the greatest opportunity for the East Haven schools?
Well, I think most of the parents know that we do have an excellent computer system. Every child has access to a Chromebook of some sort. If they don't have their own to take home, if we haven't already gotten there, we're on our way to getting every student to have one of their own. They have the library, the cart that comes into their classroom where they have it. And they learn from the kindergarten on to use them. They're much better than I am with the finger. The finger thing I'm not too good at. I'm a mouse person. I have to stick with a mouse. And all the kids know how to, they can manipulate that thing. They know how to learn that way, which we have an advantage because in testing, because a lot of the towns do not have computers for all the students, Chromebooks for all the students. And then they are tested, the statewide tests, the nationally mandated tests, are on the computer. And then the kids they have to practice on the computer before they can go take the test. Our kids don't need any practice. They do it every single day. I think that the question was, what do we need?
Yeah, it's like, where do you see the greatest opportunity?
Right.
What technology
Well,
would you like to see come in?
Well, I'd like to see the smart whiteboards. I think they're called smart boards.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Yes, in every class. I've seen in my grandson's class what they do with it, and I did see over at Farrar School where they have them, where they were working with it. And so Farrar School is a school that we were going to close to save money, and it turns out to be a state award-winning school. I think that, they got a little bit scared that we were going to close them. Maybe. No, that's not fair to say that. But they were going to be closed. They stepped up their game and got pulled together as a team, and they work as a team wonderfully there and became an award-winning school. We have the Academy as an award-winning school. We have Farrar School as an award-winning school. And Farrar does have some whiteboards, and they do it wonderfully, but I think every elementary classroom should have one. And most of the high school classrooms, if they're not strictly lecture. And I mean, for those classrooms which are strictly lecture, I think that they probably could use them if we want to spend all that money just to do PowerPoint type of demonstrations on it. But let's stick with the students which have to be the ones that have to be interactive with the kids, where the kids can come up and actually do a touch computer type of lesson right in front of the whole class that the whole class can see. It's just first of all, it motivates the kids. It keeps their attention. Mm-hmm. These are the children of today.
Yes.
These are the children who are used to video games, Facebook, all of this thing. These kids are so electronically focused that putting them in a classroom, sitting them at a desk, and asking them to listen to an adult standing in front of them and talking to them doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Where are the schools as far as physical education is concerned?
We have a pretty good physical education. I think we have better than average a physical education department. Our PE director was going to be cut. His hours were going to be
Right.
cut to save money, and we had a lot of parents say, "Oh, he's a wonderful, wonderful man." And I have spoken with him. He is great. He works very, 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 very hard, and he is everywhere. I know some of the PE teachers at the elementary schools, they're spread a little bit thin. I think there should be one at every single school, and then prepare the kids for the teams when they go to high school. The teams get good backing.
Right.
Yes.
Exercise is very, very important.
Right.
It gets them away from that computer.
That's
or
true.
that iPhone
Right. Yes.
or,
Right.
you know.
Yes. And we have to work on that harder now
Right.
because the kids are very, very content sitting down all day now.
Yes, yeah.
I myself was never a video game. I mean, I was to an extent, but not. I love to go outside and do
Yeah.
things outside. It's important.
Yeah, I think I found it really funny, and I think you guys should probably quote me, is when they had the Pokemon thing with the on the iPhones.
Right.
Oh
You
yes,
saw
right. The
kids
kids
just
running
all
all over the place,
and
walking into walls.
Yeah, I'm talking to my daughter, and I'm like, "What is this?" And she told me, and then I looked it up a little bit, and there's literally kids running around my neighborhood and dashing. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was a really great thing,
It got them outside.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
They were using their phones, but they got
Get
them
them outside.
outside.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
got them doing physical
That's
activity.
a good point. That is a
Right.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those of us who are kind of a more serious bent, I think, kind of looked askance at it. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then, but then, as you're right, it got them outside. It got them moving. It. They were going to. I was on vacation in Cape Cod, and there was a sign at the end of a cul-de-sac street. This is not such and such a street. This is such and such a place. If you're looking for Pokemon, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah,
Because they were so used to the kids walking down that street.
Yeah, I remember watching somebody run across the school that's down the street from my house, and I'm with my daughter, and I go, "What are they doing?" And I'm like, "Please tell me they're not."
That game even got adults out there.
I know.
Yes, it did. Yes, they're hopping in their cars. That's
Yeah,
right.
They're like, they're probably looking for the Pikachu. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, but it was funny. It was really. That wasn't too long ago. Maybe it was that last summer. I think it was. Maybe spring, summer.
Yeah, when I was on vacation, it was
year.
last summer, so therefore I know what was going on last summer. I haven't seen it lately, so maybe it has died out a bit.
Yeah, I think maybe and you talked about computers and stuff. I think you're going to see, and I think you see it now to maybe a greater degree with people who are older. Maybe in college. I'm going to say the people who are more well seasoned. I know I use my iPhone. Jay and Dan use technology to monitor, running or outside activity because it gives you a greater understanding of what you can and you cannot do. I know a couple of friends of mine have the iPhone, the watches, and I think that from my perspective, what I see, and that's one of the questions I have for you, is why do you see is when budgets are being cut, whether it's at the state, local, or federal level, it always seems like education is the first place they take money out of. Why do you think that is? Is it just because it's the easiest thing to do because there's less resistance? Or do you think it's just easier for them to say, cut education and we're going to do this with less?
I think that it's easy to cut a whole lot of money
Okay.
when they cut education. I'm not sure. I'm guessing now. I think that we have an aging population, and there's a lot of people who have no dog in the race or horse in the race or however that sense goes. They don't have any kids that are going to school, so they don't like seeing their taxes raised to pay for these kids.
Well, how would you talk to somebody who's, well, my daughter, I think I'm a little bit different than most people. I see my daughter as she's going to graduate, and then I'll be in the town I live in, and they're going to take money out, and it's for education.
Right.
And I say to myself, I'm like, listen, I got so much out of that with my child, and she is going to, hope she goes to a school, she gets a scholarship. But you say to yourself, it's like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is a child has gone through the education system and has gotten something out of it, and you see your child or your nieces and nephews get to that point, but then you're done. Essentially, you're done with the school. How do you get that message to someone whose child or kids are not in school or they don't have kids, and how do you get that message to them to say you are investing in somebody's future, that person may someday be where you are? Maybe you're in a hospital and they're the person that's going to take care of you.
Right.
How do you get that message out to someone that's saying, this is someone who is going to come to your house someday and is going to repair your cable or fix something in your house? How do you get that message out to someone to say, this is your investment, not just into the community, but as into a person or a world community? How do you get that message out to someone?
I think you said a lot of it yourself. The fact that these are going to the people who are going to take care of you in the hospital, so the people are going to compare all of your things. Another thing that always occurs to me that I just don't understand is property values. People are talking about that nobody wants to, selling a house in East Haven is hard. Families don't want to move in. I have friends that had to sell their beautiful big house under value because it's for a family. It's sort of an upper middle class house. Those people don't want to come to East Haven because the school system is not up there among the higher school systems. If we have a good school system, our property values go up. People who have families want to move into town because they want to send their kids to good schools. If it costs a little bit more to have a good school system, then you have to, if you want your property value to be worth more, your property value to be worth more, you sort of have to buy, nothing's free. You have to bite the bullet.
Well, I know we probably got about another minute or so left. But what are you most proud of in a very short burst? But why should people want you back on the board? Kind of a double question,
Right. Yes, I am most proud of, I believe, being a voice of reason and calm on this board. I try very much not to fight with anyone, and I seem to be able to get along with everyone on the board. I know that there will be at least 3 new members. All of the people running seem to be good candidates. I definitely am pushing for the Democrats. I would love to see a Democratic majority on the board. But even the new Republicans that are running, I respect both of them. And I hope that we can all be a good board. I hope that going forth, and I want this going forth on these next 2 years to be an effective board with a new superintendent, new relationships, calm, peaceful, working hard to use the money we have, to do the best we can with the money we have, and make it the best school system that East Haven could possibly be.
Very nice.
Can't ask for anything more. We thank you very, very much for being here.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you for having me. That was very nice to be asked.
Thank you. And
Absolutely.
we certainly wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And come back
I
anytime.
think-
I know you've got my vote.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
And thank you folks for watching.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.